And welcome back to Blue Jays Today, everybody. Today we've got another Blue Jays Today show. We're going to be breaking down the latest Toronto Blue Jays news and updates from spring training, including one player who's taking the Blue Jays community by storm, and that man is Ernie Clement. We're going to talk about his potential future, maybe on the opening day roster with the Toronto Blue Jays, and what could that mean? What other impacts does it have on this Blue Jays team? I'm your host, Adam Peddle.
And I'm your host, Nicholas Playlog. And it does start to feel like now that we are 2.5 weeks, which, by the way, that's the thing, 2.5 weeks away from regular season. I took that in today, 17 days, actually. But now that we are getting so close, that opening day roster and what that's going to look like, who's going to make the team, who's not going to make the team, who's going to be that guy that's kind of bouncing between the minor leagues and the regular day, or the MLB roster, that's starting to come into shape, right? You come in with your expectations, and I mean, they were very high on guys like Eduardo Escobar. Feels like he's kind of fallen back right now, and other guys are taking his place. So it's a fun time. Yeah, that's a good sound effect for that whole thing. So throwback to when everybody lost their minds over that minor league deal, by the way.
Yeah, it's a minor league deal, guys. Let's chill.
And like, he literally probably won't make the opening day roster at this point.
We'll probably never be talking about him come May.
Yeah, just a funny thing that Toronto Blue Jays fans do, us included, of course.
Yeah.
But it's overreact, and that was definitely one of them. But I'm so ready to overreact about a couple of the younger dudes that the Toronto Blue Jays have in their system right now. Obviously, Ernie Clement is one of them. But first things first, let's take a look over at today's game. Big W in spring training for these Toronto Blue Jays.
Yes,
9-2 over the Tampa Bay Rays. Really started out cold in spring training, starting to pick it up a little bit. They're 7-9 right now. I know the wins, losses don't matter, but still, it's nice to see them getting into that win column. Talk to me about some of the guys who really popped off today.
Yeah, well, it's funny. The times where the Toronto Blue Jays teams are winning in spring training is when we're playing our B lineup. When we're literally rolling out these guys like Biggio, Jansen, Vogelbach, Schneider, Lucas, Eduardo Escobar, Ernie Clement, Horwitz, like our B lineup guys, whenever they roll out there, seemingly slug because maybe they're fighting for a job, and that probably shows, guys. Today, you had this lineup over here showcased on the left. Biggio, he went 2 for 3 today. He had a great game scoring 2 runs, worked a walk. Danny Jansen, dirty hands, hit a bomb. Love to see that in spring training.
Yo, pause
Keep
for a
going.
second.
Yeah.
Isn't that such a Dirty Hands Jansen line right there?
Yeah.
Guy's batting 200, but he's got an OPS over 700 right now, right?
In the spring, yeah.
That's just such a Dirty Hands Jansen thing to do, though. Like, this guy's he's gonna bat like right around that 200, a little bit higher than that in the regular season, but the OPS will be there because he's got the slug.
Yeah, I feel like we know exactly what he is at this point in his career, and I love it. I absolutely love this man. Then you got Daniel Vogelbach, went for 0 for today, no worries, but you had right behind him David Schneider, who I'm slowly getting hype on. Lots of excitement after last season when you had that big month of August and you were hoping that maybe he can carry some of that energy into this year. He's carried into this spring, absolutely, as David Schneider right now has a 855 OPS and he hit another home run, went 2 for 4 today with 2 RBIs. I was personally watching, even on that one hit he got, I think it was a single turned into an error double. Wasn't actually sure what they called it on the field. Couldn't hear the broadcast. But it looked like he ripped the ball hard. It was a hanging curveball, ripped it down the left field line. For me, that approach, like if you could take that pitch, rip that one, take another pitch, rip it over the left field wall, man, it just shows that this guy is a pure hitter. And I am truthfully excited to see what this guy can do over a full 162.
Me too, man. Like I gave it, or I put him into that bold takes category where I said David Schneider, 30 bombs this year, right? And I mean, that is obviously a very bold take because this guy's played 2 months of baseball, one of them incredible, one of them not so good, and he ended up with 8 home runs. So obviously, like, that's a little spicy, but I could fully see that happening in the range of outcomes for David Schneider. I think that this guy is more of a power hitter than people have given him credit for, moving through the system to where he is right now. And like you said, right, like that approach to be able to turn on that curveball and send it down the line, like, I think that there is absolutely a large range of outcomes here where David Schneider is an above-average MLB player by the end of this year.
Yeah, my expectation for him is to literally, I don't think it's a hot take at all to expect this guy to have an OPS plus at 100, which would be an average MLB player.
And we need those guys.
We need them.
Right? There's something to be said for having guys who are average MLB players fill out the back half of your lineup. And the problem for the Toronto Blue Jays last year was a lot of the guys that were supposed to be above average MLB players, they were either just average or a little bit below, right? Talking about Kirk, talking about Dalton Varsho, talking about George Springer, who's supposed to be a lot better than what he was last year, right? David Schneider coming out of absolutely nowhere. Not a top prospect, not a guy that you were talking about, not really anybody. Like, to have a breakout like this come out of nowhere and then actually be able to contribute on your MLB team, that's what keeps the window open.
Yes.
And we need more of it.
Yeah, I can't agree more. He's going to bat, what, 6 for the Toronto Blue Jays? If you're thinking about lefty or righty splits, you probably have a lefty hitting after Justin Turner, 5, and then David Schneider, 6. I mean, hell, you could even have Dirty Hands Jansen being in that 6th spot and then having him in the 8th spot. What a luxury that would be, right? It's a blessing, and I can't wait to see what he's got in store.
What are you thinking about Kevin Biggio, man? I know it's a really small sample size, but like everyone was kind of worried because like the dude was coming out, he was a little hurt, banged up, starting this thing. The guy's only had 8 at-bats at this point, but like he's doing really well so far.
I mean, we're seeing Kevin Biggio, from the games that I have seen, we're seeing a classic Kevin Biggio approach that we saw in a good part of the half last year. Second half last year. Again, I'm not going to really overreact because I haven't seen. And again, keep in mind, guys, when we're talking about all these players, we're just reacting to the game and what we've seen so far in spring training. So we're not going to say, oh, yeah, these guys are breakout guys. Let's keep our minds, like, level-headed. But Kevin Biggio, I'm excited to see what he could do, too. It's going to be him and it's going to be David Schneider kind of competing for that second base bag. And it's good to have a little bit of competition to see who earns that spot.
Well, I think that that Biggio is one of those guys that I personally have been forgetting about for a while now, right? And just keeping off of, or just not thinking at the forefront of my mind of guys that are actually going to make a serious impact in 2024. But let's not forget that this was a highly touted prospect at one point in his career. And there were also seasons in the MLB, whole seasons that went by, where Kevin Biggio was looking like one of our best hitters on this team. Now, he lost it. It was due to some injury, due to some poor performances, and it feels like he just hasn't really been able to get back up to that place, get back up to that speed. But, I feel like a Kevin Biggio actual genuine breakout year for the Toronto Blue Jays in 2024, that is a storyline that I haven't even been considering at this point. And no, I'm not going to overreact and say after 8 bats that it's going to happen here, but I am going to say that it would be massive for this team moving forward.
Absolutely. Got to get, especially as a lefty. Because lefties are...
Especially as a lefty.
There's going to be that lefty in that 5th spot. Whether you like it or not, there will be a lefty there, and I would love to see an above-average left-handed bat up there. A couple more guys before I want to get to the main event of this whole Blue Jays Today show. Nathan Lucas, just actually shout out to Nathan Lucas. He's actually putting up a pretty good spring. He's got an OPS of 1.208, and that's with a lot of at-bats too. This guy's been ripping doubles left, right, and center. So shout out to him. The last guy. Go ahead.
Correct me. Where does he fall in the Toronto Blue Jays prospect rankings, Nathan Lucas?
I don't think he is a prospect in the rankings.
Not at all.
Not at all.
He's just having a great spring.
Yeah, he had a great spring last year. He came up, was on the bench last year, and I think he's more than less kind of being that guy where, okay, we need another outfielder on the team. We got Kiermaier banged up. Maybe we got Varsho banged up or George. He's kind of probably be the next one called up.
Yeah, and having depth is truly key, right? After 162 games, there's going to be injuries. We were talking about this. We were just really talking them up yesterday. But the Baltimore Orioles, when we were live for that game, watching them absolutely annihilate the Toronto Blue Jays. But the biggest thing that we kept coming back to was this lineup is so deep. And their bench is so deep, and their minor league system is so deep. It's just all deep.
It's all deep.
It's just deep as hell. And I want to get to a place where I feel like the Toronto Blue Jays are that deep, because one criticism of this team for the longest period of time is that the minor leagues and the prospect system is on the weaker side of things when you're comparing it to the rest of all of the MLB. So having guys who can actually come in and play a role when they needed to, that's key. It's important.
Absolutely, man. And now the main event guy, shout out to Ryan right here talking about him, saying Clement aside, SB still needs to find a new home. Clement is basically making his impact on this team right now single-handedly. When we were coming into spring training, I wasn't talking about Ernie Clement. We knew off the bench he had a good few, 50, 60 at-bats. We actually have it right over here. He literally had 50 at-bats on the dot. It was good. We weren't thinking about it too much because, he had no options. And it was okay, well, we got IKF. We have Santiago Espinal. Where's Ernie Clement going to fit into this mix? I think Ernie Clement single-handedly is making himself known on this MLB team. Today, he hit another home run. He drove in how many runs today? He drove in 3 RBIs. I think this is his job to lose at this point, the bench job. But that also begs the question, man, like, that means you got to push out Espinal. What do you do with Espinal at this point? We're going to get into all that, but first thoughts on Ernie Clement, man, so far this spring.
Listen, I want to dive deep into that whole conversation about who deserves that role and the options and everything like that. But I feel like this is a perfect transition to crown what is going to be the J of the Week.
Yes, it is time for the J of the Week, everybody, and it is brought to you by Tim Hortons. Roll up to win, everybody. Go download the Tim Hortons app. You got a lot of prizes for Roll Up to Win this year. You got the Volkswagen. You've got so many more prizes. The daily 10K jackpot. It's a lot of fun, guys. Download the app so you can go and enter into a Roll Up to Win when you purchase a coffee, a donut, anything at Tim Hortons. The J of the Week.
Ernie Clement's a winner.
J of the Week is definitely Ernie Clement, everybody.
Yeah.
Shout out to this man right here. Yeah, it was phenomenal.
It's earned and more so, like, and there were obviously other guys who were putting up big weeks. I mean, like, Captain had a nice week, and a few other guys who were really popping off this week, like, did well. But more so, I mean, Ernie Clement, he feels like he is fitting of the J of the Week in terms of also being a winner, because he is winning himself that opening day roster spot, which is so crucial for him, right? Just as a human being, like to make the team like that when a lot of people were counting you out, like that is absolutely a big thing. And he's had to fight off Santiago Espinal to do it. And at this point, folks, I mean, there is still question marks, but I'm saying that it is a foregone conclusion that Ernie Clement is going to be on the roster on opening day. And if he is not, if there is for whatever reason no Ernie Clement come March 28th, if this guy isn't injured or some crazy circumstance happened, we are rioting and we are finding Ross Atkins' personal phone number. We are figuring out what the hell went wrong here, because he deserves to be there come March 28th.
Look, like I said, he proved it with the stats, man. He's been doing it all spring training. There's a lot of factors that go into involving, guys coming in and playing on the opening day roster. You have to consider, I mean, look, I don't see why there's no reason, because he has no options. I feel like that should be the more reason to actually put him on the 26-man roster for opening day, because you have to cut him. You have to get rid of him if you don't put him on the 26-man roster. So for me, that feels like you're losing just asset right there. You might as well put him on the 26-man roster, keep him, and then until he's proved otherwise that he can't play on the 26-man roster anymore, then you cut him and you bring up Santiago Espinal anymore.
Well,
bring up Santiago Espinal.
I think that had Ernie Clement, had he come out and had he really struggled in spring training, like he looked like he was unmotivated, he was swinging and he was missing, and it just wasn't working out for him. And meanwhile, Santiago Espinal was doing what Ernie Clement's doing right now, then maybe you can have the argument, the conversation of, well, you know what, Ernie Clement doesn't have it. Let's just get rid of him. Let's start Espinal off with the team. We know that's going to be our guy anyways, but that's not what's happened here, folks. Ernie Clement is having just a phenomenal spring. I want to pull up one tweet here that was talking about. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, real quick. Well, let's wrap up the Tim section here. Just hey, shout out again to Tim Hortons. Until March 31st, guys, Roll Up to Win is available. It's 60th anniversary for Tim Hortons, so shout out to them. And again, download the app, everybody.
All right, let's take a look at this tweet, folks. It shows the people that Ernie Clement has gotten a hit off of. Now, there was, some talk that it's like, oh, Ernie Clement, like he's just hitting off of minor leaguers, no big deal. I see a lot of guys here that are gonna be in the MLB. Gerrit Cole being one of them.
Casey
Corbin
Mize.
Burns.
Jason Foley.
Like, these are...
Zach Eflin.
Literally, right? Like, these are MLB pitchers that he is doing work on right now. The guy's batting over 400 in spring training, and he's doing work off of players that he is going to see in the MLB. And the most beautiful stat that I saw today is the lack of strikeouts, the lack of swing and miss.
No whiff. Yeah, no whiffs.
0 strikeouts.
Yeah.
In all of spring training so far.
Yeah.
That's actually kind of insane.
And yes, it is 25 at-bats. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, okay. He's having a really great 2 weeks. We can give him that credit. I'll give him all the credit in the world. Gerrit Cole, Corbin Burns, you did work on those guys. So for me, that earns you the job. Now, am I going to say Ernie Clement's going to come out here and he deserves starting role every day come opening day? Probably not. There's guys that I would rather start over Ernie Clement, no offense, right? Even though he's having a great spring, we got to chuck it up as this is just spring training right now. I still think it would be a Davis Schneider or Biggio's job to start come opening day. But Ernie Clement is one of those guys where it's a luxury where you could feel okay sitting him for 3 days. I mean, in spring training, he's basically sitting every other day, yet he's still coming out here and he's swinging, right? And he's putting up damage. So I'm feeling okay to just move, like just to have him on the bench, right? And that's okay with me, right?
Well, of course. I think that it's just a testament to how motivated he is that he's come out and he's done this. And again, like we brought it up at the beginning of the show, but this is continuing off of the 50 at-bats that he had last year for the Toronto Blue Jays that he did really well in, right? Like that was 50 at-bats where he managed to put up a 1 WAR. That's pretty damn good production.
And it was all spread out.
Yeah, exactly. Like that is pretty damn good production for that limited period of time. So Ernie Clement, I think right now, like he is looking like that bench guy for me.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, the difference between Ernie Clement and what we're directly comparing him to, which is the guy he'd be taking the job of, is Santiago Espinal, where Santiago Espinal kind of fell into that Ernie Clement role where you're maybe getting at-bats every third day. And what did Santiago Espinal do with all those at-bats? He managed to get 230 last year. He didn't really do that well. He had half the WAR and a batting average of 248, the OPS plus at 80. Yes, different sample sizes, I know. But it's a different type of mentality when you're walking in every day knowing that you are a bench guy. You have to prepare for the game differently than you would if you were a Bo Bichette, a Vladimir Guerrero Jr., a George Springer. You have to be ready to go 24/7. Not to say that Santiago Espinal didn't try his best to get himself ready, but clearly Ernie Clement has spent a lot of time preparing himself for this kind of role, and it's looking like he's going to earn it.
Well, look, I've been the very outspoken Santiago Espinal enjoyer. I am a fan of Santiago Espinal. Like, that has been documented on this channel time and time and time again. But when you're seeing a guy coming out here and absolutely popping off during spring, not striking out, that's key. Every single at-bat, he's doing something with the baseball. He's putting the ball in play. So that's a big thing right there. When you're seeing that guy come out here and he doesn't have any options, and Santiago Espinal does, it just all makes sense to me that he is going to be your guy on opening day. Now, I did see some people, or opening day roster, excuse me, because I did see some people on Twitter, and I think that they were already kind of coming out and jokingly saying it, but there were some people saying, okay, like, is it blasphemous at this point to say that Ernie Clement could be the opening day guy for third baseman? And I think yes. But let me ask you, though, if he's still batting .400 after 2.5 more weeks of this, is it blasphemous to say that?
Well, I think it comes down to this. You're paying, if you're talking directly about third base, you're paying IKF. He's going to get the job. You know, I don't really see a reality where you don't start IKF on opening day, or at least like majority of the playing time on opening. It could be a matchup thing to begin opening day, but if it's IKF's job to lose. But if IKF starts to struggle offensively, which he's had a very good spring, so I think he's earned it, then he's next right up, right? He's earned himself to go up that next step.
Well, here's the thing. You make a good point about Isaiah Kiner-Falefa having a good spring. If Isaiah Kiner-Falefa was doing what Santiago Espinal is doing in spring training, and Espinal's having a rough spring so far, then, again, I don't know if it would actually happen, but I think that you could maybe even start adding a little bit of fuel to the fire as to now Ernie Clement, maybe he does sneak his way into the lineup on opening day, assuming that he makes the roster. I don't think it's going to happen right now. There was a lot of people on Twitter just talking about it because we're all super hype on Ernie Clement right now, so we have to temper our expectations a little bit.
Yeah.
But this guy, I mean, he's showing that he does belong on this team, and if he continues what he's doing, there could be a bigger role for him down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Ernie Clement, man. I mean, you have done something this spring training to make everyone open up their eyes, and this is why when people say spring training doesn't matter,
bullshit.
I know you said that. Check out our Instagram, guys. Funny short. It does matter. It does matter.
It does, dude.
Because like it matters for guys like Ernie Clement and Santiago Espinal who are fighting for jobs. Like, why do you think all those guys, like I brought up, Davis Schneider, Ernie Clement, Nathan Lucas, why do you think they're having incredible springs? Because they're trying to play out of their ass. Is it a coincidence? Maybe. But they're playing out of their ass for a reason.
Well, okay, regardless of that, coincidence or not, well, you just earned the job. Even if it was a coincidence, you just earned the job. So congratulations, right? You are now going to get paid significantly more money because you just did that in spring. So it does mean something to somebody, especially Ernie Clement, with no options. And again, we need to make this very clear. I imagine that the 169 people, shout out, the people that are watching this right now already realize that if the Toronto Blue Jays do not have him on the opening day roster, then he is gone. And these other teams, the Yankees, the Baltimore Orioles, who just watched this guy go yard off of their best pitcher, they'd snatch him up.
There's actually other scouts that have actually come and talked to Blue Jays media that said, yeah, I mean, if you guys cut him, we're getting him. We're gonna get him. He's not safe. Yeah, clearly. Yeah, clearly.
So I do believe that he will be on the opening day roster at this point. It would take a dramatic screw up of epic proportions if Ross Atkins and the management and John Schneider did not decide to have him.
I think we got to go on Twitter and start a riot with our keyboards.
1,000%.
It doesn't make any sense. Well, that does mean, though, that we do have to face reality. Let's talk about Espinal and give him a little bit of light right now. Are you okay with sending him to AAA at this point?
It's just, it is what it is, right? Like, I would like to see Santiago Espinal on the opening day roster. Again, like I've said before, I am a Santiago Espinal enjoyer. I think that this guy tries really hard. The defense is there. But, you know, due to the fact that you paid Isaiah Kiner for less than $15 million, you have David Schneider, who's doing really good. You're obviously not going to send Kevin Biggio down there because he's doing really good right now. And then you also have Ernie Clement without any options. This is what you are forced to do right now.
Yeah, effectively, this is what Fangraphs has right now on our video. You've got Danny Jansen, obviously, on the bench. Then instead of Santiago Espinal, you would have Ernie Clement. David Schneider, I think he's more than deserving of a job this year.
Well, there's no way they start David Schneider.
That'd be a failure, too. Over Ernie Clement, we were starting David Schneider. And then instead of Nathan Lucas, it would absolutely be Joey Votto if he got the chance. It's going to be Joey Votto. It's going to be Vogelbach, one other first baseman backup. So with that being said, it's Ernie taking over Espinal.
That's just what it is, right? Like, it's kind of fallen that way. So I do feel bad for Santiago Espinal. I assume that he will get another shot at some point this season. There's no way that, nobody gets hurt or who knows, maybe one of them is struggling. Maybe Ernie Clement does struggle and, all of this hype come early May, it's all gone out the window. Well, guess what? Santiago, it's your job now anyways.
Exactly, right? You can call him right back up. So that actually brings up another point because I know we've been talking about a potential trade for Espinal. Would it make more sense for the Blue Jays to just put him in the minors, store him down there for now, rather than trading him?
I think so. Until you know what you need, there's no reason to not really be making a trade right now. I think that they're walking in with this roster liking what they see, and you have to go in and kind of evaluate where your team's at, because you might end up with a hole that you just don't think that you'd ever have a hole there, right? Like, who knows? Maybe one of the big guys gets injured, or, one of the pitchers is just, like, really messing up this year. We didn't see it coming, but that's what's happening. Well, now you got to find a way to deal with that, and Espinal, I don't think he's going to get you or generate you a massive piece coming back, but he is something to start with and something that you could offer up in a trade later down the line.
Yeah, like preseason, in the offseason, I was on the board, or on the train actually, of trading Espinal because I was seeing this big log jam happening, and then we're not even talking about the prospects coming out. I just felt like we might as well soak value out of him. But now that regular season's coming along, I think we're kind of waiting on all these moves right now until you get a trade deadline, or you start to see, like you're saying, what's happening with your team. So just keep them right now. No need to make any sort of sudden moves.
Also, A.J. Marashny, and what if they trade Clement? We were talking about that like a week ago or so, and Adam brought up the point, well, he doesn't have any options.
Yeah.
So, no, right now, it would be tough to trade him. And then let's just say he keeps doing what he's doing, right? Then he gains value. Well, now you're not trading him, right? You'd be holding on to him if he keeps doing what he's doing, and he does it at the MLB level. So it would be an interesting situation if they ever traded Ernie Clement. I think if they did, it would mean that Isaiah Kiner left is elite, David Schneider's elite. Like, we'd have to have so many people doing good in that infield.
In the end of the day, man, I want the best 26 man on this field. Why are we trading away? If we're arguing he should make the team, why would we trade him away?
Yeah.
That's the best 26 men.
It's kind of that thinking of like, oh, like we have an asset, let's
get rid of it now. No,
No,
I mean,
we can use it.
Sometimes we can use those assets.
And I'm buying into the fact that, like, very underrated that I said earlier, I'm bringing up again, he can play that bench role the best. I haven't seen a guy play that bench role the best. You bring up a bench guy, well, he gets cold, doesn't have regular at-bats, he strikes out a bunch, he's an easy out. Not Ernie Clement. Yeah. Nope, he's a great bench guy.
Yeah, 100%, guys. So those are our thoughts on Ernie Clement, folks. I'm on the hype train, so
I'll jump on. Choo.
Chew, freaking chew, everyone. Let's talk about a few other Toronto Blue Jays whose spring with the team has come to an end. Outfielder Cam Eden and Leo Jimenez. Eden was somebody that we were kind of looking at. He was doing okay. And then you got Leo Jimenez, who is a top prospect for the Toronto Blue Jays. His spring with the team has come to an end.
Yeah, Leo had a bit of a rough spring to begin. If you guys remember, he was the guy, he committed like 3 errors in 2 games. It was shaky. And after we got rid of Votto Lopez, it felt like he was kind of the next guy on that bottom of the totem pole of the 40-man roster. And look, we had to use an option to get rid of him. So he's effectively taken over Otto Lopez's role. He's fallen behind Ernie Clement in the depth charts.
Yeah.
And then Cam Eden, I mean, hell, this might not be the last time you see Cam Eden. We saw last year, we called up Cam Eden just to be a pinch runner in September.
Right.
I think we could possibly use him again in that regard down the stretch and maybe even the postseason. You never know.
Yeah, 100%, dude. Speaking about running, correct me if I'm wrong here, but people were talking very highly of Ernie Clement and his running capabilities.
Yeah, I was listening to the broadcast and they were joking because he just homered off of them, and then he made a really good defensive play, Ernie Clement, and the Rays broadcasters were like, yeah, I mean, he also's got legs. Like, let's not forget that. He's also got legs. He obviously didn't have too many opportunities last year to steal bases. I mean, he only had 1 in the 50 at-bats he had with the Toronto Blue Jays, but apparently he could steal. They were talking about, could he be a 2020 guy? I mean,
the hype train is real.
That would be phenomenal. That's like a 4-WAR player right there.
Yeah.
They were even joking about 30-30, but I think 20 stolen bases, if he gets regular playing time, might not be a bad option. Look, if he's going to be the bench guy, he's going to come in and steal.
Well, listen here, everybody. Listen here. You guys know Nicky is the biggest advocate for stolen bags for the Toronto Blue Jays in 2024, man.
Me too. I think we got to steal more too.
Okay, well, Blue Jays today is on the stolen base hype train because I've been calling for this for a minute right now. I want to see more running. If you can find guys who can find their way on base, like Ernie Clement's doing right now, put the ball in play, not be whiffing and killing innings like that, and then they can run.
Yeah,
now we're
that's the thing. We need guys who can actually steal bases, right? Because you brought up even yourself, we got caught one of the most.
A lot of times.
One of the most, because we probably were not running in situations we shouldn't be running in. We're probably sending guys that we shouldn't be sending, and probably guys who are not making the right decisions on the base paths and when they should be running and when they should be reading pitches. So I think we got to get better at running the bases. Adding guys like Ernie Clement helps. That's kind of it.
That's such an underrated just storyline of last year, man, was the Toronto Blue Jays and their just inability to run the bases properly. And this even wasn't when they were stealing bases, but like just legitimately like playing standard baseball right here. And Guerrero is making mistakes, and other guys are making mistakes. We're picked off and everything. Like that's just
mental
an area,
errors on the bases pass.
Yeah, like this is just an area of the game where, if you're coming out like Bo Bichette's come out and some of these other guys have come out and said we're not kids anymore and we're growing up. This is one of those areas where we kind of need to do better.
It's funny you bring up we're not kids anymore because as a kid you get drilled in the head how to run the bases correctly. When you can't be an out on the base paths. You just can't. Like there's so many rules that we did not follow last year, and Vladdy was a big part of that. And like just because he's not stealing bases doesn't mean you can't be a good base runner.
No.
You can be a good base runner in many other ways.
100%, dude. Yeah, like do not be an out on the base path. So that's something, and apparently Ernie Clement isn't, folks. Yeah. Let's transition and talk a little bit about an AL East rival. But I guess before we get to that, maybe we should give a quick shout out to one of the sponsors of this video.
Whoa! Time for your daily Betway breather. A quick reminder that the best place to bet is on Betway. Must be 19 years of age or older to play. In collaboration with iGaming Ontario, please bet responsibly. Now, back to the content.
Shout out to Betway, everybody. If you were a betting individual looking to put some money on some sports, maybe hold off on the American League Cy Young right now because Gerrit Cole, the reigning Cy Young for the New York Yankees, he's got an MRI, and this is really raising some eyebrows over there in Yankeeville. Some right elbow discomfort. You were saying UCL, maybe?
Something with his elbow. We know maybe it could be something. There was conversations of it, but the biggest thing here, first of all, he hasn't got the MRI yet. It's coming. But the big thing around the camp right now is in between starts, he's been feeling a lot of discomfort. He got blown up by the Blue Jays. You remember that Daniel Vogelbach homer? He wasn't looking as sharp in that start, and he wasn't feeling a lot of discomfort after. And he felt the discomfort after again in his next start. So now, yes, some red flags are being raised. He's going for an MRI. We should probably know within a day or so on what those results are, because if he does have some sort of big injury to his elbow, it could be a really huge impact on where the AL East standings land, especially the New York Yankees.
I would argue that could be the biggest swing on the Yankees. You know, I mean, you could make a strong argument for Aaron Judge, but looking over at Gerrit Cole's stats last year, how much WAR did this guy have? It was dumb.
7.4.
7.4
Best pitcher in baseball.
For real. And he pitched 209 innings for the New York Yankees. If there is a significant injury where he has to miss several months or, you know, God forbid, and again, we're not wishing an injury on anybody here. I want these guys to be healthy, but
especially because Nick has him in fantasy.
Yeah. He's my keeper in fantasy, so this guy's got to be ready to go. But yeah, like if there is a significant injury, that is a massive, massive blow to the New York Yankees. And I think that, and maybe this is an overreaction, we still got to wait and see everything that happens. But I think now you start to look at the Toronto Blue Jays and the New York Yankees, and I'm looking at them pretty identically if Gerrit Cole is out of the picture for a long period of time.
That's 7.4 WAR that you're missing right
100%.
there. And however, a lot of people online were saying, well, the Yankees will just go sign Blake Snell.
Which
that's
is
exactly
honestly
what would happen.
Pretty likely.
That's exactly what would happen.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, maybe Blake Snell's eyeballs were he got hit up by the Yankees.
Yeah.
And we're like, hey, well, we might need to bring you in. I'm just saying, it could be. There could be things we don't know.
Well, here's the thing though. I was thinking that the New York Yankees were still a strong contender to sign him, even with Gerrit Cole fully healthy and ready to go.
This would solidify.
I mean, and once again, Blake Snell is a phenomenal pitcher. I do think he's going to have a great season in 2024. I don't think that he's going to be as good as Gerrit Cole.
No,
I don't think he's going to eat as many innings as Gerrit Cole. Like I think that Gerrit Cole
very good,
is the favorite to win Cy Young. And if I had to pick any pitcher to start a game for me at any given moment right now, it would be that guy, assuming he was fully healthy. So yeah, there's no understating how big of a blow that would be to the New York Yankees if they lost that dude.
Yeah, well, we'll have to keep our eyes open, guys, and I guess our eyes open to people like John Morosi tweeting out whether Snell's going to the Yankees or not, because that does feel like a match made in heaven right there.
Yeah.
I think one more last thing that we want to talk about on the show, and maybe we'll field a couple of questions from you guys. So we've got 202 of you guys in here. If you haven't already, drop a like on this stream and smash the subscribe button, guys. Blue Jays, no longer #next level. We saw an announcement today that it is now to the core, to the core, #to the core. What were your thoughts? I'm sure a lot of you guys saw it today, but what were your thoughts, Nick? I have some pretty funny thoughts on this.
I'm generally pretty happy with this new slogan that they're rocking with. I think that we can all agree that next level was just truly terrible.
I don't know why we ran it back again.
No.
When we didn't reach a next level, per se?
No, we were legitimately at the exact same level, arguably maybe even one rung on the lower side of things. So maybe we did get on the next level. It was just worse than the previous year. I think it was time to scratch that one and do something different. To the core, it's interesting. I would have preferred, as Rodney is saying, bad for baseball.
Yeah, #bad for baseball. That's the hashtag we're rocking with this year, ladies and gentlemen, here at Blue Jays Today.
Would have preferred it.
That would have been actually that would have been great. Well, that's why we thought of it.
But to the core, also good. Also good.
Yeah. No, I just think it's funny because, you're marketing this team and you got to be very careful because this is a very sensitive year. I think it's kind of hyping up your core, which kind of what we did in our own hype video in our season trailer, because that is truly what we have.
Right.
We're not gaining any more guys. We got them. This is the core. And to the core can mean a lot more things, right?
So that is, I guess, if I had one critique, I'm just having a hard time fully visualizing exactly what to the core is. I like it. I think the words sound good together, and it makes me think of Vladdy, makes me think of Bo and everything.
Yep.
But to the core,
Of what? Like
our values, our work ethic, like
Right.
I mean our effort, our determination, like at the core of our hearts, like the core of the city. Like I can see it being a bunch. That's the thing. They did a good job where a lot of people can interpret it a lot of ways, but you can't really interpret it negatively too much because usually you associate that with a positive, right?
Right. Yeah.
Whereas next level, you could really joke and be like, they're nowhere close to the next level.
No, I think honestly, like pun intended here, they did kind of cover their bases.
They did.
With to the core.
Yeah.
Because I
Not
guess,
wrong.
yeah, like we're just going to like.
We're relying on the core.
Put maximum effort in, and that's going to rock us to the core, I guess.
Like, look, I mean, what is left of this team is the core. IKF, someone's saying, like, is IKF on the core? IKF is the core for the next 2 years. The core's got 2 years, you know?
Right.
So he's the core. So there we go.
I think Sophie makes a great point right here saying, I think it's a tease for the City Connects.
No, you're right. I think so, too. The core, the city, the core of the city, the heart of the city.
Right.
I could see that being a thing.
I think the City Connects need to have something to do with like Rogers Center and CN Tower and like just Toronto vibes in general. Lake Ontario. I don't know. I'm spitballing here. I'm not the guy. I'm not the designer right now. But if you're gonna rock with the to the core thing, let me see some Toronto. Let me see some Canada baseball.
Yeah. I really want the jerseys to be less Canada and more Toronto.
Right.
No offense to, I know a lot of people are watching Toronto Blue Jays outside of Toronto, but we have the Canadian Canada's jerseys and all that.
Yeah.
I think we got to go Toronto themed here.
Speaking of Canada, folks, we'll finish off with this. I saw some people in the chat talking about Joey Votto. What are your thoughts on that? When is he starting? When is he starting? I'm thinking that it's got to be in the next like day or two because he's been having a couple. We've been seeing a few clips of him swinging the bat in a Toronto Blue Jays uniform, taking some press conferences. I'm liking everything that he's coming out and saying. Right now.
No, I'm loving Joey Votto, and I'm over the whole people saying like, oh well, he actually hates Canadian baseball. He doesn't give a rat's ass about Canadian baseball. I think we're all got to move on from that, guys.
No.
I think we're very clear that this is just a great story moment. Don't know when he's going to be starting, but it should be soon. And I really do want to see him on opening day. I think it would just feel weird to have Joey Votto cut before the opening day roster.
What did you think about him calling up Ross Atkins and specifically saying, like, look, just give me a tryout, give me an audition?
Dude, that's a veteran guy right there. I mean, it takes a lot of balls. I'm sorry, to be graphic, but it does, man. To call up a GM and say, to feel like you are a little bit deserving of a job. And look, he's humble too about it, right? When he's coming in, he's not saying, yeah, I deserve all this. He wanted to go and shoot his shot. When you're applying for job resumes, you go call up the place to shoot your shot. That's what Joey Votto wants to do because he cared about it. Like, if he didn't care about baseball, he wouldn't care. Right? He would go retire. Well, I respect it.
That's the biggest thing for me, dude, is the fact that we're legitimately talking about a future Hall of Famer right now who has won an MVP before, just had some incredible seasons, and he's calling you to just get a tryout on the minor, like that.
Not a contract.
No,
a tryout.
Like I feel like that is him really putting the ego aside here, because let's face it, man, like. It is a little demoralizing in the sense that this guy is like posting on his Instagram, like effectively begging for a job. He's calling people up. He's had almost a 20-year career being incredible, and now he's got to do this. But I think that it just goes to show how much he cares about baseball, how much he cares to be on this team, and the effort that he is willing to put in. He is not putting himself first. The team is first. And the whole thing about the number, too. Yeah. Right? Because he's not taking his number, is he? He's
as of right now in spring training. Because in spring training, like, with MLB guys, they'll give him a number where he's rocking a minor league number. He's not number 19 right now. Also, that's kind of crazy. If he does get number 19 for Toronto, see, also, this will also show his humility a little bit. Like, Joey Votto, he's number 19. Joey Bats, number 19. Will he take Joey Bats' number, or will he rock something different for the first time in his career?
I don't know.
That's the thing. It's like... if he's showing the humility, like maybe try a different number. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just because that what 19 means to Toronto.
Yeah. I'm just loving everything that I'm hearing from him so far. I really want this story to be one with a happy ending, right? Me too. Like I want this guy to come. I want him to have a bounce back season. I want him to put up. I want him to have some big moments. I think he deserves it. I think that he's showing right now that like this is good for baseball.
This is good. We're switching up the hashtag just a little bit, just for Joey Votto.
Just for Joey Votto, dude. I mean, there is nothing bad for baseball about Joey Votto coming to Canada, putting the team first, and being an absolutely just legendary human being.
Yeah, I agree. Guys, that is the Blue Jays Today show. Big feature here was Ernie Clement. So if you guys, let us know in the comments down below. Let us know what you guys think about Mr. Ernie Clement. Do you think he's going to get a job come opening day? We say yes, indeed.
Thank you so much for watching, everybody. We appreciate all of you. And as always,
Go Jays, go!